I was 16 when I discovered my father's true feelings about my future at Nakamura Technologies. She's brilliant with code, Hideo, my mother said, her voice drifting up from the study. Olivia's teacher says she's never seen anyone her age understand neural networks so intuitively. My father's response was immediate and dismissive. It doesn't matter. The company goes to Daniel. The Nakamura name stays with the son. I stood frozen in the hallway, my laptop clutched against my chest, the AI project I'd been eager to show him suddenly feeling childish and irrelevant. Daniel, my brother, 3 years older, charming and utterly disinterested in the technology that had been my obsession since I was 8. The boy who'd barely passed his computer science classes but wore the right face, the right name, the right gender to inherit a tech empire. But Olivia is, my mother began. It's tradition, my father interrupted. Women don't run tech companies. Not in Japan, not here. She'd be eaten alive. I slipped away before they could discover me, retreating to my bedroom where lines of code blurred through my tears. That night, I made a promise to myself. If I couldn't inherit Nakamura Technologies, I would build something even greater. And I would do it on my own terms. 13 years later, I stood in my brother's office, our father's old office, watching Daniel sign the termination papers with the same Mont Blanc pen our father had used to sign his Harvard tuition checks. Nothing personal, Liv, Daniel said, sliding the documents across his immaculate desk. But your department's performance metrics don't justify its existence anymore. I kept my expression neutral, though inside I was cataloguing every sacrifice that had led to this moment. The MIT PhD in Artificial Intelligence, completed in record time. The 7 patents I developed for Nakamura Technologies. The AI-driven security system that had saved the company $30 million last year alone. None of it mattered. I had the wrong name on my birth certificate. The board thinks we should focus on hardware, not your pet AI projects, Daniel continued, already turning his attention to his phone. Maybe start a cute little consulting business, something less technical. I signed the papers without comment, remembering the day 3 years ago when our father died, and the board, composed largely of his golf partners and college friends, unanimously voted Daniel as CEO, despite my detailed 5-year strategic plan for the company's future. Clear out your office by end of day, Daniel added, not bothering to look up from his screen. And Olivia? The tech world is brutal. This is for the best, really. I walked out with my head high, past employees who averted their eyes, past the AI labs where my team worked on innovations Daniel couldn't begin to comprehend. In my office, mine for the next few hours, I methodically packed 8 years of work, research papers, awards from tech conferences, the framed photo of me with Dr. Hinton at the Toronto AI Summit. At the bottom of my desk drawer, I found a thumb drive labeled Prometheus that made me smile for the first time that day. Daniel had always been so focused on the public-facing AI applications we developed, the virtual assistants, the security protocols, the consumer products, that he completely overlooked the true potential of my research. A shadow fell across my doorway. Elena Chen, my brilliant lead researcher, stood there, her expression a mixture of anger and resolve. So it's true, she said quietly. The board actually approved this. I nodded, sliding the thumb drive into my pocket. Unanimously. What will you do? Remember the conversation we had last month? About starting our own AI research company? Her eyes widened slightly. The one where you mentioned having your trust fund converted to venture capital. I pulled up an email draft I prepared weeks ago when the whispers about department restructuring first reached me. How would you like to be Chief Research Officer at Athena Intelligence? Fully funded, ready to start operations immediately. Alina stared at the business plan attached to the email, comprehension dawning on her face. You've been planning this. For years, I admitted. Why fight for a seat at their table when I can build my own? Over the next 3 hours, more of my team filtered through my office. Raj from Data Analytics passed over for promotion in favor of Daniel's fraternity brother. Minji from Neural Engineering, whose groundbreaking research Daniel had dismissed as too theoretical. One by one, they accepted positions at Athena Intelligence. By the time security arrived to escort me out, carrying my box of personal items, my new company had a core team of 12. The best minds from Nakamura's AI division. Daniel called from the executive lobby as I waited for the car I'd ordered. Don't take it personally, Liv. Some people just aren't cut out for the tech industry. I smiled, knowing it would infuriate him. Goodbye, Daniel. Give my regards to the board while they still answer your calls. The confusion on his face was worth every moment of humiliation I'd endured. That night, I sat in my apartment, surrounded by whiteboards covered in algorithms and business strategies. My phone buzzed. Abigail Wong, CTO of Vertigo Systems, confirming our Monday meeting. I looked at the old family photo on my desk. Father standing proudly next to Daniel, his hand on his son's shoulder, while I stood slightly apart, always at the periphery of the frame. Women don't run tech companies, my father had said. He was right about one thing. I wouldn't be running just any tech company. I'd be creating the future he couldn't imagine. Monday morning arrived with a series of increasingly panicked texts from Daniel, which I ignored in favor of preparing for my meeting with Vertigo Systems. The conference room I'd rented for the occasion, Athena Intelligence's offices were still being renovated, felt appropriately imposing with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking San Francisco Bay. This is remarkable, Abigail said, studying the neural architecture diagrams I presented. A truly adaptive AI security system that evolves alongside potential threats rather than merely responding to them. The same system I proposed to Nakamura's board last quarter. I noted. They dismissed it as too experimental and fiscally irresponsible. Their loss, our gain, Abigail replied, signing the partnership agreement with a flourish. Vertigo Systems is proud to be Athena Intelligence's first enterprise client. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen to see Daniel's name, but returned the device to my pocket. I had 3 more meetings scheduled that day with companies eager to implement adaptive AI security solutions. By Wednesday, we'd secured partnerships with 4 major tech firms. Thursday, we announced our first round of funding, $50 million led by Takeda Ventures, a Japanese investment firm known for backing innovative AI startups. Friday morning, Nakamura Technologies stock dropped 12% after analysts questioned the company's competitive edge in the AI security market. Daniels called 6 times today, Elena reported, handing me a coffee as we reviewed designs for our new research facility. Apparently, Vertigo Systems just canceled their contract with Nakamura. Did they? How unfortunate. He left a message saying their legal department is exploring options regarding your non-compete clause. I smiled. They can explore all they want. I never signed one. It was true. In his arrogance, Daniel had never considered that his academically minded sister might pose a competitive threat. The oversight would cost him dearly. The following weeks unfolded with precise, calculated efficiency. Every client Nakamura approached for AI security solutions, we offered a more advanced alternative. Every researcher they attempted to recruit, we outbid them. Every press release they issued about future innovations, we countered with actual deployable technology. We weren't just competing with Nakamura, we were systematically dismantling their relevance in the AI sector. Then came the call I'd been anticipating. Olivia, my mother's voice was strained. We need to talk. I leaned back in my chair, gazing out at the view from Athena's new headquarters. About what, Mom? Nakamura Technologies or Athena Intelligence, because only one of them has a future in artificial intelligence. A pause. Your father, he never meant to dismiss every idea I ever had. To hand the company to Daniel simply because he was a man. To let him run our family legacy into the ground while ignoring every warning sign. More silence, then softly. The board meeting is tomorrow. Daniel, he's going to lose his position. The shareholders are furious about the Vertigo contract and the stock decline. I almost laughed. Sounds like an executive problem. Nothing to do with me. Please, Olivia, he's your brother. Funny, he wasn't my brother when he was firing me and mocking my research. I ended the call, feeling no regret, only a calm certainty about my next move. Tomorrow's board meeting wouldn't just mark my victory, it would determine whether I settled for winning or claimed total dominance in the AI security sector. I picked up my phone. Abigail, remember that integration framework we discussed? Move up the announcement to 9 a.m. tomorrow, and make sure to mention the exclusivity clause. The next morning, I watched Nakamura's emergency board meeting via video link, a simple arrangement when you've designed most of a company's security architecture. Daniel looked terrible, his usually immaculate appearance disheveled, dark circles under his eyes as he tried to explain Nakamura's 35% drop in value over the past month. "We're exploring alternative AI security partnerships," he stammered, reaching out to startups with promising technologies. "There are no alternative partnerships," interrupted Yoshiko Takeda, who had recently acquired a significant stake in Nakamura. "Athena Intelligence has exclusive contracts with every major player in the market. They just announced a $200 million integration framework that makes their technology the industry standard." Daniel tugged at his collar. Perhaps we could reach out to Athena, try to negotiate." The boardroom door opened. "Now you want to negotiate?" Every head turned as I stepped inside, my Athena Intelligence ID badge gleaming against my charcoal suit. "Olivia," my mother half rose from her chair. "What are you doing here?" I smiled. "Representing the only company in this room with a viable future in artificial intelligence." Daniel's face darkened. "You planned this. You deliberately sabotaged Nakamura?" "No, Daniel," I interrupted calmly. "I built something better. Something Nakamura could have owned if you hadn't been so convinced that my research was worthless and women don't belong in tech leadership." I laid out my offer. Athena would acquire Nakamura Technologies. We would preserve the Nakamura name on specific hardware lines, retain most employees, and ensure the company's legacy continued, just not under Daniel's leadership. "All in favor?" Yoshiko Takeda asked, her expression inscrutable. The vote was nearly unanimous. Even my mother, looking resigned and somehow relieved, raised her hand. Daniel lurched to his feet. "This isn't right. Mom, tell them." "It's over, Daniel," she said quietly. "We should have listened to Olivia years ago." I gathered my materials, preparing to leave, but paused at the door. "Oh, and Daniel, don't bother cleaning out your office. I had it cleared this morning. Try not to feel too bad. Some people just aren't cut out for the tech industry." His own words thrown back at him. The perfect conclusion to a plan years in the making. That evening, I sat in my office at Athena headquarters, contemplating the acquisition documents. Nakamura Technologies, the company my grandfather had founded, the empire my father had expanded, the legacy that should have been mine from the beginning, was now under my control. Elena appeared in the doorway. "Your mother is here." She looked older than I remembered, smaller somehow. Her usual perfect composure was fractured, revealing the weight of the day's events. "The company your grandfather built is in good hands," she said, settling into the chair opposite my desk. "No thanks to our short-sightedness." "You mean father's short-sightedness," I corrected, "and Daniel's arrogance." She shook her head. "I share the blame. I should have fought harder for you, Olivia. I saw your potential. I knew you were the future of Nakamura, but I deferred to tradition." I studied her, searching for insincerity but finding only regret. "Well," I said finally, "at least now you know better." She nodded, then hesitated. "That's actually why I came. There's someone I'd like you to meet." My assistant showed it a young woman, barely 20, I guessed, clutching a tablet to her chest, her eyes wide with barely contained excitement. "Olivia, this is Sophia Murakami," my mother said, "a quantum computing prodigy from Caltech. Her algorithms for quantum neural networks are, well, I think you should see for yourself." I raised an eyebrow. "And why are you bringing her to me?" My mother actually looked embarrassed. "Because when I saw her work, I remembered all of your research that we dismissed. I didn't want to make the same mistake twice." Sophia nervously offered her tablet. "Dr. Nakamura said you might be interested in my approach to quantum entanglement for secure AI communications." I accepted the device, scanning through her work with growing interest. "These are impressive models. But tell me about yourself first, not your degrees or accolades. Tell me your vision for quantum AI." Her eyes lit up as she launched into an explanation, her initial nervousness giving way to passionate expertise. I caught my mother watching us, something like pride mingled with regret on her face. Later that evening, after offering Sophia a research position at Athena, I found a package on my desk with a note from my mother. Inside was my father's Mont Blanc pen, the same one Daniel had used to sign my termination papers. Asterisk, "This belongs with the true future of our family's legacy." Asterisk. I set the pen aside and returned to reviewing Sophia's quantum algorithms, a smile playing at my lips. There was still work to do. 3 months later, Daniel arrived at my office, unannounced. Gone was the arrogant CEO swagger. In its place was something I'd never seen in him before: humility. You didn't dismantle the hardware division, he said without preamble. You could have fired everyone, sold off the assets, absorbed the patents. But you didn't. I gestured for him to sit. That would have been inefficient. Nakamura makes excellent hardware. The problem was never the products, it was the leadership. He winced but didn't argue. I've been consulting with a startup in Boston. Medical devices, nothing glamorous, but I'm learning. Actually learning, not just pretending to know everything. But for you, he fidgeted with his watch, not the Rolex he used to wear, I noticed, but something simpler. I've been following Athena's expansion. The quantum security protocols you're developing with that Murakami girl. It's revolutionary. Sophia, I corrected. Her name is Sophia Murakami, and she's not a girl, she's the future of quantum AI architecture. Right? Sorry. He took a deep breath. I was wrong, Olivia. About you, about the company, about everything. You built something incredible, and you beat me fair and square. I leaned back, studying my brother. The past 30 months had changed him, humbled him in ways I hadn't thought possible. Why are you here, Daniel? He reached into his messenger bag and pulled out a folder. I've been developing a proposal for AI-enhanced medical diagnostics. It's nothing compared to what you're doing, but I thought maybe you'd look at it. Tell me if I'm on the right track. I accepted the folder, surprised by the gesture. You want my opinion? You who once told me my ideas were unnecessarily complex and unmarketable. He had the grace to look ashamed. I want to learn from the best. That's you, Liv. It always was. I examined his proposal, genuinely impressed by the thought he put into it. The Daniel I knew would never have done this level of research, this careful consideration of practical applications. It's not bad, I admitted. The framework needs refinement, but the core concept is solid. Relief washed over his face. Really? I tapped the folder thoughtfully. How would you feel about developing this under Athena's medical division? Not as an executive, as a project lead, starting from the ground up, earning your position like everyone else. His eyes widened. You'd give me a chance. After everything? Not give, Daniel. Offer. You'd have to work harder than you've ever worked. Take direction from people you used to consider beneath you, and prove your value every single day. A slow smile spread across his face. Not the confident smirk I was accustomed to, but something genuine. When do I start? 1 year later, Athena Intelligence had transformed the landscape of artificial intelligence. Our quantum security protocols had become the industry standard. Sophia's research team was breaking new ground in quantum neural networks. And the Nakamura hardware division, now fully integrated with our AI systems, was producing technology that outperformed every competitor. Daniel, to everyone's surprise including my own, had thrown himself into his medical ad project with unprecedented dedication. He worked alongside researchers he would once have ignored, learned from engineers he would have dismissed, and gradually earned the respect of his team. Your profile in Tech Innovator just hit the stands, Elena announced, dropping a magazine on my desk. The cover showed me standing in our quantum research lab, Sophia beside me, under the headline, The Intelligence Revolution. How Olivia Nakamura redefined AI while shattering Silicon Valley's glass ceiling. Elena grinned. The sidebar about our mentorship program is getting lots of attention online. The Athena Accelerator, my passion project. It provided funding, mentorship, and resources to young women and non-binary individuals in STEM fields, particularly those focused on artificial intelligence. My father would have called it a distraction from our core business. In reality, it had become our greatest talent pipeline. Dr. Nakamura, my assistant, called over the intercom. Your mother is here. She entered carrying a familiar wooden box. The one that had sat on my father's desk for as long as I could remember. The one that had held his most important documents, including the succession plans that had excluded me. I found these while going through your father's personal storage, she said, placing the box on my desk. Letters he wrote but never sent. This one has your name on it. I opened the envelope, recognizing my father's precise handwriting. Asterisk Olivia, asterisk. Asterisk, by the time you read this, I will likely be gone. Perhaps that's for the best, as I lack the courage to admit my failures to you directly, asterisk. Asterisk, I was wrong. About you, about the company's future, about what leadership truly means. I watched you develop innovations I couldn't begin to comprehend, yet I clung to outdated traditions that said a daughter couldn't lead asterisk. Asterisk, my own father would be ashamed of me. He didn't build Nakamura for status or tradition. He built it to create technology that changed lives. You understand this in ways Daniel never will asterisk. Asterisk, I've made arrangements with my attorneys. The succession plan has been modified. It may cause turmoil, but the company deserves the leader it needs, not the one tradition dictates asterisk. Asterisk, I hope someday you can forgive my blindness asterisk. Asterisk with pride and regret, asterisk. Asterisk father asterisk. I stared at the letter, dated just 2 weeks before his unexpected death. The modifications he mentioned had never materialized. His attorneys had never executed whatever changes he planned. He was going to change his will, my mother confirmed quietly, to make you CEO. He died before the papers were finalized. I carefully folded the letter, emotions I couldn't name washing through me. It doesn't matter now. No, she agreed. You've built something far greater than he could have imagined. Later that afternoon, I visited Daniel in the medical research lab. He was deep in conversation with his team, reviewing neural imaging algorithms with an intensity I once would have thought impossible for him. The board approved your project's expansion, I told him after his team dispersed. The clinical trials can begin next quarter. His face lit up. Thank you, Olivia. You won't regret it. I know. I handed him a copy of the Tech Innovator article. They mentioned your medical ad platform as one of our most promising innovations. He skimmed the article, then looked up with genuine admiration. You did it, Liv. Everything father said you couldn't do. You did it anyway. We did it, I corrected. The company is stronger with both of us contributing in the right ways. Daniel shook his head ruefully. You know what I realized recently? When father said women don't belong in tech leadership, he wasn't just wrong about you, he was wrong about leadership itself. It's not about gender or tradition. It's about vision. I finished. About building something that matters. About recognizing talent wherever you find it. He nodded. Thanks for teaching me that. Even if your method was dramatic. I smiled, thinking of the day I'd taken control of our family's company. Some lessons leave scars, Daniel. But if they heal properly, they make you stronger. In my office, alongside my degrees and patents, hangs my termination letter from Nakamura Technologies, a reminder of where I started. But surrounding it are photographs that represent something far more significant. Sofia presenting her quantum research at CERN. Elena accepting the Turing Award. Daniel with his medical AI team celebrating their first successful diagnostic protocol. And a new family photo taken at Athena's headquarters where tradition has been replaced by innovation, where legacy is measured not by names but by impact, and where the future is being built by people once told they didn't belong. My father was wrong. Women do run tech companies, and sometimes they transform entire industries in the process.